Huh.
Do you bleed green? Are you an ultimate Eagles football fan? Well, you're in the right place.
Ready?
This is Birds 365, hosted by the new Mac and Mac, Jody McDonald and John McMullen.
Here we go.
Who collectively have covered and talked about more than 50 plus years of Eagles football. Kick off your day with Birds 365. You'll get debate.
We love to argue.
You'll get the real story from inside the locker room. And you'll hear from some of the great football minds from around the region. You're about to become an Eagles insider. Get in the game. Join Jody Mack and Johnny Mack and join the football community that flocks to Birds 365. Birds 365 starts right now.
Welcome to the NFL. Let's go. And welcome aboard, Birds fans. Appreciate you streaming on in here with Mac and Mac on Birds 365. Kind of a different edition. It's a midweek edition because it's Wednesday, but it's also an end of week edition because not only is the end of the week, it's the end of the off season for the Eagles. If you look at opening of training camp, it's the beginning of the season. Yeah, this is it. Today's going to be the last day, and John McMullen will be heading over to get some grass time with the Birds this afternoon once we wrap this bad boy up here. J-Mac, have you blocked off like 6 hours, 8 hours? Or
I'm blocking off quite a few.
Minutes? Which one?
Quite a few hours. Practice is at 12:55. Now that part, that'll probably be an hour. So but then after, we're going to get the head coach. We're going to get some players. So that is the longer part of the day. And then once all of that's done, then you got to sit down and work, Jody. So yeah, it's going to be a long one for me.
All right.
But,
Well, I know
it is what it is.
I know you'll put all the time and effort in. All right, since you went there, I'm going to put you to the test right off the bat here on Birds 365. No, you're getting the coach. Sirianni's going to talk, that's for sure. What players do you think you'll get today? You've been pretty damn good at this, projecting and.
Well, now we're into the double up portion of the off season, so I don't have as good a feel, and it kind of depends today. Like, who wants to get out of there as quickly as humanly possible,
and or who is even there?
Yeah, well, that too. As I like to say, cue up the Alice Cooper. School is out for summer, so there's a lot of people who want to race to where they're going to get a vacation. You got to be careful.
So
that's what happened to Josh Huff back in the day. So be careful.
We'll grade on a curve here. I need 5 names. If you get 3, you get a passing grade. Usually,
well, I'm trying to remember who spoke last time. I'm going to look it up real quick. So so we know Slay. It was AJ Brown. It was Jordan Davis. It was Jalen Hurts. It was Brandon Graham. So those guys are out. Devontae Smith is going to be an obvious one. He's going to talk. I'm going to go Dallas Goedert. Is going to talk. I think Fletcher, it's pretty clear that I don't even know if he's going to be there, and if he is going to be there, he's not going to talk. So that's pretty clear. Right? I'm going to go Avonte Matt. Can I say Avonte Maddox or James Bradbury? Since we're grading on a curve, we're going to get one of the corners, but we're not going to get both.
Okay. I'll give you a tag team there.
Anthony Harris, leader of the team, today. And I need one more.
One more.
I don't think Lane's gonna be there, so I'm gonna say Jordan Mailata.
You know what, Mailata rather than You think Kelsey's a pass
Oh,
guy
I
too?
should
Huh?
have went. I don't. Yeah, Kelsey might not be there either. So I should have thought of Kelsey, but I'll stick with my line.
Okay, yeah. If Kelsey's there, he's going to be one of the five.
Yeah, you would
But if
think.
he's not, then he can't be
Yeah.
one of the five.
So
So
I'm
you
more
never really
banking
know.
on he's getting out
All
early.
right. Well, you'll see if you get a passing grade tomorrow with attendance at Eagles.
I'm not going to
mandatory.
show up if I bail, Jody.
No,
Too
you're here
much.
tomorrow to take your medicine there, buddy.
Too much
'Cause,
embarrassment.
you passed with flying colors. One, you almost ran the table. If
Yeah,
you didn't listen,
yeah,
to Kratz gave you a bad lead. You went down a bad road with Fletcher Cox because of Kratz. Otherwise, you would have run the table. All right. You know, you're going to hear from Nick Sirianni. He did speak to Sal Paolantonio the other day, and he sees great advancement in his quarterback this offseason, that there's more zip on the ball and his accuracy is up. It's 7 on 7. And we should expect no less. He's not going to come in here and go, oh shoot, we're screwed
We're
because
screwed.
Jalen doesn't look
We're
good.
screwed.
Yeah, that had no chance of happening. But is he gilding the lily a little bit here with what the Eagles are actually going through with these OTAs?
I'm sure he is. There's nothing positive from insulting your quarterback in public. So, I mean, a lot of it's just sort of baked in. You know, you're going to talk up the quarterback. But I did think he looked sharp. You know, there's been a lot of talk about Jalen Hurts shifting his off-season program and going away from what he usually does and going out to see Tom House and company. Who are the guys when it comes to mechanics. And, you know, they helped Carson Wentz, for instance, back in the day in 2017, before the 2017 season. So between 2016 and 2017, then he takes off as the MVP level season. Then he stops working with those guys and the mechanics go to you know what. So maybe there's something, maybe there is something to it. And, you know, Jalen probably has the mentality that if it goes positively, he's going to continue. Mechanics are such a big part of quarterback play in the NFL. And it's tough to decipher, you know, who's got good mechanics and who's got bad mechanics to the layman. And, you know, I consider myself in that category. I used to talk to John DiPilippo a lot about mechanics, and he always would bring up Carson Palmer as a guy. So I would always look at Carson Palmer as sort of the standard in his era for mechanics and, you know, kind of compare people to him. Footwork is a big thing. And yeah, Jalen's footwork wasn't great last year. And can guys like Tom House and Adam Dedew fix it? I don't know. But it's probably better to go to them than not try and fix it. I will say that. So it's a positive. I will say that.
And here's the reason why Jalen Hurts needs to have good mechanics. He's got a passable arm for arm strength. I'm just talking about strength. I'm not talking about accuracy, but that certainly plays into it with mechanics. Your mechanics, I believe, can help you be more accurate if you need to be. The two best examples are Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. Rodgers certainly has better mechanics than Mahomes. Mahomes' mechanics are all over the place.
Oh, terrible. They're terrible. I get killed for this all the time. I got freezing cold take. I probably tell you on the show. Every once in a while they'll do it, and I have a lot of fun with it. That's why they like it. When I said, you know, Patrick Mahomes coming in the draft, his mechanics were just all a disaster. And everybody acts like, oh, McMullen's an idiot. You know, no, they're a disaster. They're still a disaster. There are some people that overcome it. They're so talented.
Right.
And he overcomes it. It's like, I always go, because I'm a big Dr. J guy. When I was growing up, I was a big Julius Erving fan. You don't want to teach somebody to shoot a basketball like Julius Erving. You know, yeah, I mean, that you don't want to do that. But he overcame it and became one of the greatest NBA stars of all time, and ABA for that matter. But there are some guys so talented that they don't have to worry about that stuff. And that's the category that Patrick Mahomes is in. And to a certain degree, you mentioned Aaron Rodgers as well. when Aaron's throwing things from 75 different arm angles, that's something you don't want to teach a young quarterback.
Right.
But he can do it. And there's not a lot of people that can do it. And yeah, I mean, Jalen has unique abilities as when it comes to mobility, runner, but when it comes to throwing the football, yeah, he's one of the guys, and 90% of them are you need good fundamentals and good mechanics and good technique.
I liken it to a hitch in your swing in baseball. Some guys have an awful hitch in their swing. And if you're just John Q baseball player and you've got that hitch, you got no chance. But Gary Sheffield had such fast hands that it didn't matter the hitch that he had in his swing. He had 500 home runs. Why? Because he could do it. And he was just that skilled. And you have to factor that in when you're evaluating a player. Jalen Hurts doesn't have the same skill set that Patrick Mahomes has or Aaron Rodgers has. So mechanics and the way he delivers the football and his footwork are much more important to him than those two other superstar players. So if he can upgrade it and he get the job done, that's a good thing. The fact that he's putting the time and effort in is a very good thing. And the fact that Jalen Hurts is Jalen Hurts for me is a good thing for the Philadelphia Eagles. And what I mean by that is, are you reading some of these stories on Deshaun Watson? Man, I'm going to say this now, and I was never uber motivated to get Deshaun Watson here. If the Eagles were going for him, the talent level that the player had, you had to at least, depending on what prism you looked through at it, you had to appreciate his talent. This is a far from done story, J-Mac. New numbers coming out that upwards of 60 women over the course of 17 months were called in. Just off the charts type numbers. And, oh, by the way, and we'll have John McMullen, our buddy, who is quasi-retired from the Houston Chronicle, great all-time NFL writer, is going to join us on Friday. He agreed to jump aboard with us on Friday. We got to ask him about his Texans. They provided him a hotel room to have these massage sessions. And when one of the women complained to Deshaun, an employee of the Texans actually gave him a formalized NDA for him to make the masseuses sign before they showed up. That's not a good sign, Johnny Mac. When a team is given a play, oh, here's an NDA. Make sure they sign off on this before they leave the hotel room. They were complicit in this. This is going to get ugly, John McMullen.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to go that far. Here's my thing on Deshaun. I don't think the Texans are in that much of trouble. I mean, there's teams that give their players hotel rooms all the time, especially their star players, and they don't know. You know, I mean, they're not complicit in, oh, you're going to get a happy ending on a massage? Yeah, let me get you a hotel room. It didn't go down like that. He just happened to get the...
when they gave him a copy of an NDA.
Yeah, well, that
I would, when he shows up, don't you think they've got a pretty good clue as to what the hell's going on?
I was getting to that. So their version of Dom DeSandro, and Big Dom, the head of security that everybody knows, a great guy for the Eagles. Their version of Dom, I forget his name, but the Texans head of security, who isn't a lawyer, I think he was a former Secret Service agent. So I guess Deshaun told him somebody was popping off on social media and threatening him in some way for money, and saying I could destroy you, and he just put an NDA in his locker. So yeah, I mean, look, there might be more to it. What I'm saying is the Texans can easily say, this guy's the director of security. He's got now. He told one of the lawyers, hey, do you got a template NDA? Have him sign this when you get your massages. Now, he might get fired. That guy, the director of security, he might get fired. But my larger point is, I don't think the issue is with the Houston Texans. I think they're going to be fine. But Deshaun Watson, my God, and the Cleveland Browns, and the league as a whole, when you think about it from the perspective that this is the guy you gave the first fully guaranteed contract to, this guy, this is the first guy you said, all right, we're gonna screw up years of precedent and we're going to give every single penny guaranteed, the Cleveland Browns are in it more than the Houston Texans, and we'll see how it shakes out. Because look, I say this all the time, and for everybody listening, if you're an ideologue, and I don't care which side you're on, right, left, you're an idiot. I don't want to hear from you. I don't care. If you don't think about other people's views, if you want to shut down, to me, you're not a serious person. I don't really care about your thoughts. What I will say, there's two avenues you can go this way. Deshaun Watson is a sexual predator, and he should be in jail. And there's a lot of people that close the book and say, that's it. They want to believe all women, yada, yada, yada. Even if you want to go best case scenario here, Jody, best case scenario for Deshaun Watson, and say, these are people who got wind of he was offering $100,000 per person to settle these things, and it's a money grab. Even if you want to agree with that, and I want to make this very clear, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying even if that is what's happening to Deshaun Watson, you have to look at yourself as the Cleveland Browns and say, what is this moron doing as the starting quarterback of the NFL, of an NFL team, a high-profile position, hired 66 different women to give him massages with you know what, and you think things aren't going to come out of that? I mean, I don't want that. That guy's not smart enough to lead my team and my organization. That's where I am. And the Eagles dodged a stinking bullet because they had interest in the player. And they claim they did their due diligence just like the Browns. Sorry, Jody, I got fired up, but that's my thoughts on the situation. And the Browns are the ones on the hook because, yeah, this guy's got a lot of trouble. And basically, you know, the minute you say, okay, it was 23, I think, so $2.3 million, you say, he just got 230. Well, now you're probably up to 4.6 or 5, and he's going to have to pay all these people off, and that's the best case scenario.
And, oh, by the way, a very interesting sidelight. I was reading Florio's opinion on Pro Football Focus. If they want, and I doubt highly the Cleveland Browns would go here, since lawsuits have been added after his contract was signed, that there is the possibility that if criminal charges come along with this new lawsuit and the prosecution decides we can make a case off this evidence, that the Browns could get out of the contract if they wanted to. That they could.
I mean, you know, anytime there's a new accusation, all of a sudden the police can get back involved. And all of a sudden now, you know, if Jenny Rentis is the one who did the reporting from the Washington Post, 66. So, you know, do the math, 66 minus 23. You got a lot of avenues to go. But I would just recommend this. If people are really serious about going after Deshaun Watson, don't hire Tony Busby as your lawyer. Don't. Go get a credible person.
I've got questions about both Tony Busby and Rusty Harden. The lawyers who are heavily involved in this don't know that either one of them has done the right thing by their clients throughout. I just had to note that because we were talking about Jalen Hurts and the quarterback play. We could be talking about nothing but Deshaun Watson here on Bird 365 for the last several months.
I'd really get in trouble then.
Going forward,
I'd be canceled.
If the Eagles had actually decided to go that direction.
I'd be canceled if Deshaun was here.
You and I both,
you know, because people don't want to hear, you know, they don't want to hear both sides of the story.
You and I could be canceled, and then we just turn the show over to Jeff Kerr. We'd probably go real easy. They just tell him to come in here and try not to get canceled. We will not be canceling him. He will be joining us next. CBSSports.com NFL writer, insider Jeff Kerr joins us here on Birds 365.
Go for the polls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your world. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
All right, did you know I was the Mommy Slam Dunk Champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Mac guys, McMullen and McDonald here with you on Birds 365. We got a bud jumping in with us. He covers the entire NFL for CBSSports.com. When we ask, he gives a helping hand here on the JAKIB Media channels. Yeah, mostly Birds 365, but the other shows want to get him on too and go him on to when they can. But we've got his services with us today. Jeff Kerr, good enough to jump aboard. JK, how you doing, bud?
Pretty good, Jody. I decided to wake up and choose violence by ranking the top 10 defensive players ever.
Yeah, we saw that. I predicted you're number one without looking, Jeff.
I got roasted because how can I omit J.J. Watt? And I'm like, I only remember the last time J.J. Watt was an All-Pro, and I actually had to look it up. It was 2018, but I love J.J. Watt. He's a Hall of Famer, but Texans fans decided to call me recency bias because of Aaron Donald. I'm like, so Aaron Donald's not great? Is that what you're
they're both recency bias. They're both great. I was going to bring up JJ. Yeah, people forget about JJ. I think 3 consecutive defensive players of the year award. He was a great player. I think in this generation, here's my thing, and Clark Judge and I, we could do it. If we had Clark on, Jody, we could do a 6-hour show on this. I don't know how you compare eras in the NFL. Yeah, so like I look at it in this era, and I look at Aaron Donald and J.J. Watt, and those are the 2 guys. And then you have Reggie and Bruce Smith and LT, and then you go back to the Joe Green, Bob Lilly, Alan Page, those guys, all Deacon Jones. Would maybe be at the top of the list. I don't know how you compare those guys. And then you go way back to the Bednareks of the world, which we talked to Clark, you and I, Jody, about Otto Graham. Nobody talks about Otto Graham as one of the best quarterbacks, but he was. And Jody, I've given you my thought process on the time machine. And I always use Will Chamberlain because you always have these people. well, Wilt played against a bunch of small guys, and if you put him here, he wouldn't be able to do this. And I always say, why does the time machine work one way? Wilt's got to come forward with this magic time machine, but Michael Jordan and LeBron James, they don't have to go back. What if they had to go back?
Well, here's one too. Don Hudson. Yeah. Don Hudson might be the greatest receiver of all time, and they argue, well, he played against plumbers. I'm like, so we take that away from him? He wouldn't be great today?
Yeah, well, my theory is, look, they dominated in their era, which there were a lot of things they had to go through. There wasn't as much knowledge on nutrition and weight training. The travel wasn't easy. Some, in some sports, you had to get a job in the off season, including the NFL. It was a different era, but they dominated. They were the best in that era. So what I'm saying is, if you put the modern people in the magic time machine and put them with all those, they don't get to work out. They don't have the chefs, the personal chefs. They have the crappy travel. They don't make the money. They're not going to be Wilt Chamberlain or Chuck Bednarik. So that's why they're great, because they dominated in their era. That's my little time machine theory.
All right. For those of you who don't have your computer in front of you, don't have Jeff's list, I'm going to run them down real quickly, and then I'm going to ask you just one question, Jeff. At number 10, he's got Ronnie Lott. Number 9, Rod Woodson. Number 8, Bruce Smith. Number 7, Dick Butkus. Number 6, Deacon Jones. Number 5, scrolling, Aaron Donald. That's why you did the list, because Aaron Donald just got paid the most ever for a player. Where does he fall into the list? You got him at 5. I kind of like it. Number 4, Deion Sanders. Number 3, Ray Lewis. Number 2, Lawrence Taylor. And number 1, Reggie White. First things first, like your list. You got 10 of the greatest defensive players ever, maybe the 10 greatest ever. Yeah, one different here or there. So if you get 9 out of 10, that's pretty damn good by you, Carr.
I wanted to put Alan Page and Mean Joe Green on it. I just didn't have room.
Right. Well, you got to draw the line somewhere. You drew it at 10. Those are the 10 you came up with. They're 10 all-time greats. Here's my only issue, and this is not going to go over well here on Birds 365. Lawrence Taylor redefined defense in the National Football League.
How dare you, Jody?
No linebacker had ever made a difference on the field at going up the field the way that Lawrence Taylor did. His ability to get to the quarterback had never been done by a linebacker before. Reggie White may have surpassed Deacon Jones, who you rightfully have on this list, but he played the same position and did the same things that Deacon Jones did. He just took it to another level. Lawrence Taylor did things that no one had ever done before, and you could almost argue he did things that no one has ever done since. From the position that he played, Lawrence Taylor's got to be number 1 on your list. Reggie White, number 2. I got no problems with you having him 1 and 2. I just think it's got to be 1 and 2 rather than 2 and 1.
Because I used to watch a bunch of NFL films when I was younger. And I remember specifically Joe Gibbs created the H-back and the 2 tight end set to stop Lawrence Taylor. And he still couldn't stop Lawrence Taylor. If Lawrence Taylor didn't get injured or have that, like those first 10 years of Lawrence Taylor's career, I don't think anyone's ever going to beat for a defensive player. Maybe Aaron Donald might do it. But if you look at that, you take away those final 3 years, Lawrence Taylor, clearly number 1. It's just, he got injured. And it's a shame. He only lasted 13 years in the league. I just could not ignore Reggie. 124 sacks and 121 games with the Eagles. That's over a sack per game. The only one that's close to doing that right now is TJ Watt. That's it. JJ Watt in his prime definitely was on his way to doing it. The injuries caught up with him. But just Reggie White being dominant his entire career. I don't know why he ever came back to the Carolina Panthers, because he could have left on top, Defensive Player of the Year at 37, the whole king caboodle. But my always thing with Reggie White was everybody tries to remember him with the Packers because he won the Super Bowl and all that. He was 10 times the player with the Eagles. And that's how I'll always remember Reggie White, just playing dominant throughout his career.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to complain about Reggie White. I'm with Jody. I would put LT number 1, but that's probably biased towards I've heard Parcells talk about him, and that kind of swayed me. And obviously, he's going to be in the corner of his guy, but I do think in that's kind of my definition. I go back to Wilt, and Jody gave a good example. When they change the game for you, that's why I was talking about Moss. When they change the game for you and they start playing different ways to stop you, that tells you you're a little bit different. And not that they didn't, people tried to chip Reggie all the time, but as you mentioned with Joe Gibbs there, Jeff, they're trying to come up with new ways. For the first time in my life, I saw this weird bracket coverage where a linebacker was underneath. You had the corner on Moss, you had a linebacker underneath, and you had the safety playing like cover 2, but way outside the numbers to stop Randy. Never saw it before. I don't think, it's probably been used since, but they did it for him. And then you had Green Bay draft in the 1 year they drafted 4 corners just to try to stop Randy Moss. Those are the type of players. And then when the production matches that, which it did with Wilt and Lawrence Taylor, that's why I would put LT.
I thought Jim Johnson had the most unique way of stopping Randy Moss. No, we're not going to stop him. What we're going to do is, you are not beating us for those 30, 40-yard plays. You can catch anything you want underneath. And I was watching Eagles-Vikings game from 2004. It was like, okay, let him catch the 7, 8-yard pass. We'll be there to tackle him. We'll be there to bring him down. And to their credit, they did. I think Moss got a touchdown really late in that game, but the game was already decided. But he had like 9 catches for like 85 yards and a touchdown. And John Madden said it. Well, that's not what Randy Moss gets paid to do, unfortunately. And he gave credit to Jim Johnson for stopping them. And, T.O. made the big play that game, the 40-yard touchdown catch. And that's what Randy Moss did seemingly every single week.
Yeah. And when they change the rules for you, then when you really know, and that's the Bob Gibsons of the world and the Wilts, when they change the rules, then okay, that guy's pretty good. That guy's pretty good.
Start redesigning the field of play because one guy is too dominant over all the others. They never quite did that for Lawrence Taylor, but still, nobody has done it the way that he did it, and I'll argue nobody has done it since. I do want to talk to you. Tied Lawrence Taylor into something John and I discussed in the first segment, and that's demons. You mentioned that Taylor got hurt. He also had major issues off the field of play, drug use and everything else. Deshaun Watson has issues. He's got his demons. Apparently, they have to do with massages and happy endings. John and I were talking about the fact that the Eagles may have dodged a bullet with the fact that they didn't acquire Deshaun Watson. So we can talk about Jalen Hurts looking great in the limited scope that guys like John McMullen can go down and watch him practice for about 20 minutes today. But we take Nick Sirianni at his word that he looks much improved. How much of a plus is it with the Eagles, Jeff Kerr, that we don't have to worry about any of that? We can just analyze, is Jalen Hurts improved enough this year, rather than, can our quarterback stay out of jail this year? Our $230 million quarterback stay out of jail this year?
I'm so happy the Eagles, Deshaun Watson said no to them, or the Eagles decided thanks, but no thanks. I don't know how the full story went. John does. But overall, I'm just glad the Eagles did not even go near that hornet's nest. That's what Deshaun Watson is. He is.
Oh, they wanted to go near it, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the, it's a
better to be lucky than good.
Yeah, there's a big hornet's nest in there, and they're all coming out ready to sting you. And no, I'm just glad the Eagles did not tap into that. I mean, they did obviously at one point, but who knows if they found out more information or not. I don't think we'll ever know the full story. But
I get a kick out of these NFL teams, and we were talking about Houston a little bit, and Cleveland said, we did our due diligence. Did you? Because Jenny Brentis, and I said Washington Post, it's New York Times, so I want to make that correction. Jenny works for the New York Times now. But she's a great reporter, but she doesn't have the sources that these security directors have. With the context they have with prosecutors. That's how you get jobs in the NFL as a security director. Everybody knows Big Dom here. The guy in Houston.
Dom just got promoted, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He's assistant to the GM as well. So congratulations, Tom. But the guy in Houston used to work for the Secret Service. So all these guys have contacts, and they usually with local law enforcement, and they have a lot of sort of ins, and they get all the whispers. And 66, I mean, we 23, I shook my head at. Now we're up to 66, and some of them had no issues, and some of them were willing to do it, and some of them aren't mad at Deshaun Watson, probably because he paid them well. But if you're an NFL team, and this is how I described it to Jody, forget about the legal entanglements. Why do you want this guy making those decisions off the field? I get a kick out of Cleveland. Remember the quote, "We need an adult in the room," when they were ripping Baker Mayfield? This is your adult? I mean, it's embarrassing.
The adults they wanted in the room, they're not adults either. Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, because they just pretty much said, yeah, but we don't really care. It's almost like they spit in your face. We don't care what he's done or allegedly done.
Well, and I would say that's a Jimmy Haslam decision.
True.
You know, so I'm not going to. You can blame Andrew, and people will, and Kevin Stefanski because he's the coach. But same thing here. If Deshaun Watson would have been here, it would have been a Jeffrey Laurie decision, period.
But,
that was a Jimmy Haslam decision. So he deserves all the blame, and then it kind of trickles down from there.
Right, because he's the guy who okayed $230 million guaranteed. Barry may have put it out there. He doesn't get to put it out there if the owner doesn't okay it to begin with.
Yeah.
So Johnny Mac is absolutely right about that. All right, let me we talked about assistant general managers advance from security positions. I'm going to make you guys assistant general managers for the Philadelphia Eagles. I saw not one, two different reports that the Baltimore Ravens are looking to add a veteran pass rusher, maybe through free agency. They've had all off season with a bunch of the guys that are still out there. And there are better names at defensive end than there are at safety, where the Eagles are looking to add a veteran. But still, even if they don't get a veteran free agent pass rusher, edge guy, let me run this trade by you. Who says no to this trade if it's out there on the table? Chuck Clark for Derek Barnett. Ravens have a little excess at safety. They're looking for a veteran pass rusher. I think the Eagles could use an upgrade at safety, and I think they're okay at the edge position. Derek Barnett for Chuck Clark. Who says yes? Who says no? Kerr, you first.
So I'll play the Ravens GM. No, I keep Chuck Clark because you can, Mike McDonald's defense, you can play three safeties. You can line Chuck Clark in the box. You can play him with Kyle Hamilton. You can use him in multiple formations. I know they need a veteran pass rusher. They got Calais Campbell back, but I know they need somebody else. I'd be like, well, there are a couple guys on the market I think that are better than taking Derek Barnett and his more penalties and sacks in his career. It's maybe if they offered, it would never happen, but I'd be like, what about Brandon Graham? Then again, this would be me as the Ravens GM. I would see if the Eagles would want to get rid of Brandon Graham. They don't, but you got to check. So, no, I feel like I can get someone better on the market. I keep Chuck Clark.
I mean, everything depends on the player. I do know, look, Eagles fans would be thrilled because they want Derek Barnett out the door. As you mentioned, more penalties than sacks. Jody's raising his hand. But I think defensive end or edge rusher is a more valuable position than safety. So if Baltimore likes the player, I think it would make some sense. I think, they don't need the safety. I hear what you're saying. A lot of people talk about using the big nickel and the three safeties, and a lot of people do it, but not for a big amount of time. So, maybe 10% of the snaps. So I don't think you're going to see a base defense with three safeties. Although who knows, Chuck Clark could be a glorified linebacker, or maybe Kyle Hamilton is the most versatile player in the world. We'll see how that shakes out. I think it makes some sense, match up. Same thing with Jalen Reagor, but it all depends because the Ravens need a receiver as well. It all depends if they like the player. And maybe they think, maybe Eric DeCosta is the same as the average Eagles fan and says, I don't want that guy. I don't want your trash. I would think of that more than but I think from a perspective Jody brings up, I think it makes sense. The question, Deep Board's going to be out. Does he have anything left? You know, maybe go out and get him. I don't know if he's got anything left. There's probably more edge rushers on the market, which kind of hurts things probably for the Eagles.
My guy, he's not a veteran, but he's one of those young ascending players, Rasheem Green. I really like that signing for the Texans. I think he's due to have a big year.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned Brandon. The problem with Brandon, and by the way, he's still valuable to this team, but he's 34 years old and he's coming up in Achilles and he makes a lot of money. I don't think that would be nearly as valuable, even though he's a better player than a Derek Barnett, just because of all those issues. And I don't know, JPP's still out there, I think.
Yeah, he's still out there. Ndamukong Suh's still out there. You can kind of line him up on the edge a bit at times. I don't think he's that type of player anymore, but there are ways you can do it.
Suh's a tackle. He's not an edge at this stage in his career. All right, one last question on this. And again, for both you guys, if you're Eric DeCosta making a specific, since you're advising Eric DeCosta, Eagles offer you your choice of Barnett or Reagor. They want Chuck Clark. You're willing to move Chuck Clark. You had the choice of the two. If you're Baltimore, which one would you take, Jeff?
John, do you want to take it or you want me to take it?
Well, Jody said Jeff, but I'll jump in. I'd say both. I'd say both. I want both. How about that?
All right, then if you're the Eagles, would you give them both?
I would.
I would.
Why not? I would.
I'd
ask for both.
I'd take a chance on Jalen Reagor. I mean, I think he could be the number 2, number 3 for Baltimore easily. Right now you got James Proche. That's pretty much it outside of Rashad Bateman. I think Reagor really needs to change the scenery. Just needs to.
So do I.
Yeah, recharge batteries.
I don't know if you can count on him if you're Baltimore. In fact, I do know you can't count on him. I mean, you might want to bring in the reclamation project and say, who knows, let's roll the dice. But I don't think you can say we need a number 2 or a number 3 receiver, and that's going to be Jalen Reagor. You cross your fingers, but yeah, I'd ask for both if I were the Ravens.
I think the Ravens would utilize his speed a lot more. I think not saying he would be Hollywood Brown, but I think you can just say, hey, run as fast as you can down the field. Lamar will get you the ball.
I agree with you. He needs a change of scenery. If anything is ever going to click for Jalen Reagor, it's going to be outside of Philadelphia. So that part I agree with. After watching him, I can't imagine it, but there's been other guys. I mean, you talked about it again, Brandon Graham. When I asked him about Derek Barnett, as a matter of fact, and he brought up again, everybody wanted me out of here. Everybody, they were running him out of town on the rail. He stinks. He's this. He's not Earl Thomas. He's not JPP. And now he's, if Kelsey wasn't running, he'd be the mayor of the city. Everybody loves him. So things can turn around. But for Jalen, I think it's got to be probably in another city.
John, I want to ask you this. Who's had a better career, Brandon Graham or JPP?
BG.
Yeah,
BG.
I agree with that.
Now, part of it is JPP's fireworks accident.
4th of July.
Yeah. I mean, they're all great. They were all great players, all great picks. I think so. Earl's going to the Hall of Fame, but I think it's ironic that BG outlasted them all. Well,
JPP still might land somewhere, but
I mean, with his original team.
That's true.
Yeah,
okay, I see where you're going.
Yeah.
Earl Thomas was a disaster with the Ravens, by the way. I couldn't believe how much he fell as a player and everything else that happened with him. But you're right, John. Like, he's going to the Hall of Fame. He's that type of generational player.
All right, let me run this one by you guys. And again, running the risk of ticking off Eagle fans here. The Denver Broncos, officially, they got to go through the formalities of getting clearance from 31 owners, and there's a process to go through, but agreed in principle to sell the team for $4.65 billion. We're not talking millions here, folks. $1 billion for the Denver Broncos, 4.65. Jeff Laurie this week named Julian Laurie the head of, what is it, analytics, advanced security,
business and football strategy, I believe.
Football strategy. All right.
I
Well,
didn't get an official title, John. I didn't even see it in like the press release when they announced it.
No, he wasn't on the press release, but he's got his own office. And as you know, I was told by somebody in the organization, Julian doesn't have to worry about titles.
No.
You know what they should call him? Simba or Future King, because that's pretty much what he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, I brought this up on WIP last night, just off the top of my head stuff. What do you think Julian Laurie's salary is? Does he even get a salary? Does he get to walk into the owner's office and say, "Hey, can you write me a check for $200,000 here? I need to do some stuff over the weekend." How does that work?
I think they have formalized his role a little bit, so he does probably get a salary, and it's probably less than it should be for somebody in a similar position. You know how that works. But same thing with the title. Julian doesn't have to worry about his salary. He doesn't have to worry.
$3 billion. I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, you and I see it the exact same way, John. But here's where it may divert just a little bit. If you're Jeff Laurie, you've been owning the Eagles for decades now. You achieved what you needed to achieve, which was a parade and a championship and the biggest party here in Philadelphia sports, and will probably be going forward as well. The Eagles, for me, are of higher value standing in the league, fan base, everything else. Philadelphia market size compared to Denver market size. They're a bigger valued franchise than the Denver Broncos. And the Denver Broncos just sold for $4.65 million. So nice little round number of $5 billion.
The B.
With a B, $1 billion. If you're Jeff Laurie, are you at least intrigued to say, you know, I could just get out while the getting's good, and I'd only have $5 billion to get out with? Julian, sorry, you're going to have to go find yourself a gig. I'm going to take the money and run. Any chance Jeff Laurie is at least tempted by this?
I don't think so, but I would be. I don't want to give anything to my snot-nosed kids. I want to take my $5 billion and go live my best life. And I'm not. I'm joking, obviously. But now he's shown no indication that he wants to sell the organization. And by the way, Eagles fans should be very happy about that. I said about the Denver Broncos, because Josh Harris was in that. Josh might have been the runner-up. You don't want Josh Harris. I don't know anything about this ownership group, but Denver didn't want Josh Harris. In Jeffrey's case, I think I think you did something about this recently, Jeff. I think a lot of Eagles fans, modern Eagles fans, younger Eagles fans, don't realize how bad this organization was pre-Jeffrey Laurie. And now they've turned into this sort of stable. Yeah, they have their ups and downs. They have their soap operas. They've had a million soap operas, but their success pre-Jeffrey Laurie compared to post-Jeffrey Laurie, staggering. And I don't think a lot of younger fans realize how bad it was at certain points.
When I talk to 49ers people, especially fans, they always say, man, I miss Eddie DeBartolo. I miss that family. I miss everything they've done for our franchise. It's such a different atmosphere. It's someday Eagles fans are going to miss Jeffrey Laurie unless Julian keeps this up or makes it better. But the proof's in the pudding. The Eagles win titles. They win NFC East titles. They make playoff appearances. There was a time when the Eagles if they had a winning season, you celebrated. I mean, all you gotta do is watch a Dick Vermeil special or anything on Leonard Toast to realize how bad the Philadelphia Eagles were at one point. And I grew up, all I remember is Jeffrey Laurie. I remember when Jeffrey Laurie bought the team. I remember when he transformed the team, and Andy Reid had a lot to do with that, but that's part of the stability he brought to the franchise. So, and I'll say this, if I am the Philadelphia Eagles, you would have to just force me out of the chair. You'd have to kick me out of the stadium and lock the door and make sure I never come back, because I would never give them up. Or any NFL team, I'd never give it up. That's your dream.
Yeah, but everybody sells at some point. Every team in professional sports has been sold at some point. There are no original owners left. You say once you get your hands on it, you're never going to move it. Everybody,
I would move it. I would move it, but I just want the money.
If I have a snot-nosed kid, he can move it.
Yeah. Well, you don't. Yeah. I'm not saying. I don't want. Julian's probably a great guy. I don't know Julian, but I'm a Yankees guy. Everybody knows that. For years. We know the soap opera with George Steinbrenner, but man, that guy wanted to win. I can't say the same about his kids. So
they're not as motivated as the boss was.
John, right now, they're only the fourth team in the last 80 years to win 40 of their first 55 games. You should be jumping up and down.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. Their rotation came out of nowhere. I thought they had a crappy rotation. All of a sudden, it's the best rotation in baseball. Who knows?
Let's see if Nestor Cortez can keep
Nasty
it up.
Nestor. There you go.
All right, Jeff Kerr, you're not heading down to spend quality time on the grass with John McMullen, but I need your opinion. The Eagles decided this offseason to double down on what they did last year, where they believed less is more. Now they believe less is even more, I guess, because it looks like at least time dedicated and the type of workouts they're going through in the limited amount of time they're using. They got this right. That we're going to look back at them at the end of the season and go, damn, they were ahead of the curve on this over everybody else in the National Football League. Or are we going to be able to go, no, you didn't prove anything. Your injuries were what your injuries were. You got out of the gate slow. How is less is more going to work out for the Eagles this year?
The old saying is what? Work smarter, not harder. I feel like the Eagles are doing that approach. It's, okay, yeah, we're not going to practice as much. We're going to rest these bodies up. We'll drive these guys when we have to in the short amount of time that we do. It worked for them last year. And I think it'll work this year too, because they're still a young team. They got a lot of young players. I think if you're an older team, yeah, you need to practice less. But I think it's funny how we don't have to hear soft tissue injuries anymore. It was nice to not hear that for a year or so. And I feel bad for Doug Peterson in Jacksonville if all these guys keep getting hurt, and then Jeff McClain finds his way down to I don't even know what to say.
Jeff's not going to Jacksonville.
It would be hilarious though if he was. Hey Doug, how about soft tissue injury? Get out of my
Yeah, Jeff is obsessed with soft tissue injuries. That's Arsh Denoda. He's a superstar. He's the one responsible for that. The Eagles do love Arsh Denoda. He's their chief medical officer, and I think he's got more power than people realize. I think he is the one behind all of this, to be honest.
And you know what? It took him a long time to get to this point, but hey, when it's working. I mean, what is it? You fail repeatedly, you're eventually going to have success. That's usually at least the saying I was talking about.
Yeah, I think I'm going back to the same thing I said about Deshaun Watson. It's better to be lucky than good.
And oh, by the way, maybe the Eagles were lucky that Arch Denoda was not cherry picked by the Houston Texans, because he might have been able to solve the soft tissue issues that Deshaun Watson had.
Oh, we don't want to go there.
All right, that's a wrap. We can call it a day after that one. Jeff Kerr, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you very much for hopping on. We'll get you on again either late next week or
thanks for being malleable, Jeff, like Nick Sirianni. Going back and forth.
Now you're going malleable. I'm not going to mention Deshaun Watson's name as you use the word malleable, John McMullen. Well, I didn't say that. You said malleable, not me.
Jeff was malleable in a good way, not a bad way. He's not getting hotel rooms.
Guys, what did Jeff Laurie call Nate Sudfeld? I'm trying to remember the
unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
That's what Nate Sudfeld.
Unstoppable Jeff Kerr. I'll be the third string quarterback for this franchise.
By the way, is Sudfeld still on the 49ers roster again this year? I gotta look that one up.
Yeah, he's still quarterback.
Sudsy. Yeah, he's still on the.
He's still on the 49er roster. Yeah, I guess he's still unstoppable. All right, unstoppable Jeff Kerr. Thank you very much for coming on with us. Appreciate it, bud.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks,
Jeff Kerr, here with us on Birds 365. Sorry, Lawrence Taylor is the greatest defensive player ever in history of the National Football.
I'm not going to go that far. I say he's the best of the modern generation. I can't. I don't know how good Bednarik was. Guys like that, the Otto Grahams of the world. Like I said, Jody. I mean, they deserve more respect than they get. And I would have to do the research. Clark would probably know about those guys. Bring up Al Wistert and all. There's some guys who dominated back then. But in the Super Bowl era, I'm with you. LT is number one for me.
And at least as per my age, I can say in my lifetime, which includes the Super Bowl era, Lawrence Taylor's best defensive player ever played. Reggie second. LT, numero uno. All right, we're coming back. He's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. Hour number 2, we're going to have our buddy, the cynic, Bob Groats from Delco Times. Hop aboard with us. Still a lot to do on this Wednesday edition of Birds 365.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
7 on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your world. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities with Local 98, visit us, IBEW98.org.
All right, did you know I was the Mommy Slam Dunk Champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, up, up.
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
John McMullen and Jody McDonald, a.k.a. your Mac and Mac Birds 365 guys here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, which you can easily access from JAKIBsports.com, our new all-inclusive website where you can get on any of the JAKIB Media channels. You can find the musings of one John McMullen as the lead.
Too many
Eagles writer.
musings, yeah. Yeah, people are going to get mad at me for that Deshaun Watson stuff, Jody. Watch.
That's all right. They can get mad at me too. When certain things, you are an actual hands-on reporter. I'm just an on-air opinion giver. When information comes out, you react to it. Hey, you're not going to agree with everybody all of the time. You're going to have some people agree and others disagree with you. That's okay. That's what we do. I need your opinion on what you're going to be able to see today at the final Eagles OTA practice. 3 last week, 3 this week. Shut it down. And even though they've got upwards of 2 hours that they can spend today, I'm just judging from afar, I'm not expecting them to be on the field anywhere near 2 hours. Usually last day, using your Alice Cooper reference again, school's out for summer. You want that last day to be shortened so you can get out and start to enjoy your downtime.
You know, the kids get antsy. They don't want to pay attention on the last day of school. So generally you break early. And like I said, usually around the rest of the NFL where they have mini camps and you see them, even Aaron Rodgers was in mandatory mini camp in Green Bay. By the way, did you hear Aaron talk about chemistry? And he basically shut that down. That was great too, by the way.
At least he committed to the Packers. He's going to finish his career now in Green Bay. He only took $150 million over 3 years to get him to commit, but he is now committed to finishing his career in Green Bay.
Yeah, but he's not going to show up for voluntary work ever. That's pretty clear. If he didn't do it this year, he's never going to do it. But getting back to the original point, usually people just scrap the last day because they've gone 12 practices and they've stretched it to the limit and they say, all right, let's let the guys out of here. And there was some debate whether the Eagles would do that. And we talked about it on the show. And it's like, they can't do that. I mean, they only did 6. They got to go. They got to do it. Sure enough, they are going full, put that in quotations on Wednesday. But I don't know. Like I said, Zach Berman was on the show. I think he put it was a great number, so I'll steal it from him. I don't think it matters for, say, 1 through 40. I think it matters for the rest of the players. And I think it should matter for the Eagles more. But they are where they are, and they made that cost-benefit analysis. You and I are both a little bit more old school. I think if we're up to Nick Sirianni, I think they'd be out there using 13 practices, to be honest. But it's not. And maybe it will be someday, but it's not right now.
And we'll only be able to judge when the season comes and goes as to how effective it was. Last year, I would say it was probably, and they did a little bit more than it looks like they're going to do during this offseason, comping one offseason to the other. You could look at the start of the season and the fact that the Eagles weren't anywhere near as good wins and loss-wise in the first half as they were to the second half and go, well, that's why, because they didn't put enough practice. That's why they started slow. Well, that would be unfair because their schedule was tougher at the start of the year as compared to the second half. They made a very significant decision in season to run the football rather than throw it as much as they tried to do in the first couple of weeks of the season. And I think that played into – we're never going to have the perfect answer. It's going to be McDonald's opinion, McMullen's opinion, the Eagles' opinion, any of our streamers' opinions. There's no additional facts you can add, statistic you can look up to prove the theory or disprove the theory that less practice in the spring makes for better results in the fall.
And I don't think you're ever going to have that information, but then they're chasing it. They think they can find it. And the Eagles aren't the only ones. Sometimes you got to be smart enough to know what you can't know that's the old coach's cliche, right? Control what you can control. I don't think you can control injuries. I say it all the time. I don't think you can legislate injuries. Where you can get better is treatment of injuries. And maybe that's where Arstenota has made the greatest impact on this team. And, I was talking to somebody in the organization who said, look, for years and years and years, when they were talking up ours, for years, NFL teams and still some NFL teams, basically they had a head trainer, right? And the head trainer was a head, oh, what's that? A strained groin? That's a 4-week injury. That's a 6-week injury. They're not doctors. I mean, a lot of them go through these certifications and to be, very well versed on game day treatment of players and all that kind of stuff, but they're not doctors. And every injury is different. Hamstring for Jody McDonald maybe isn't the same for John McMullen. And then there's grades. There's grade 1 and grade 2 and grade 3. There's different types of hamstring strains and different types. That's where a doctor's expertise is needed. So that's where the Eagles are probably a little bit ahead of the curve to have a chief medical officer who's now in control of basically the entire medical outfit, the doctors, the orthopedics. He's got experience in that, internal medicine, plus all the training capabilities. Where back in the old days, and still for many teams, and people remember Rick Burkhalter and all those guys, it was the trainer. And from that instance, didn't make a lot of sense.
A hamstring injury for yours truly these days would certainly be career-threatening, maybe life-threatening if I got a severe enough hamstring injury. All right, J-Mac, hopefully no hamstring injuries today. You saw what they called the practice last week. Don't know if it's going to be even more or less again this week. What did you see last week? Do you think this is going to be identical, very similar? Will they be attempting to put stuff in that they can just pick up and restart when the camp starts in July? What do you think you're going to get out there on the field from the Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, very similar individuals. Anybody who's been to any football practice starts with that, and then you move into sort of in this part of it is going to be what I'll call teamwork, and that's the 7-on-7. In between, you sort of have 10 minutes with Michael Clay and special teams. But this team does what it does. I think if they push it to over an hour, that would surprise me. They're more about the classroom and film work and that kind of stuff right now. So, but we'll see some 7-on-7s, and you'll hear about Jalen Hurts throwing the ball deep to AJ and Devontae, and everybody will get excited.
Maybe another Deion Kane day. You mentioned the 10 minutes with Michael Clay with special teams. Aaron Sipa still the only punter, right?
Yeah. It is a position where you can bring people in. The Eagles have talked about this in the past about not having day-to-day competition. I asked Michael that actually when we talked to him last week, his sort of theory on that. Because it is a position where, look, if Aaron Sipas just craps the bed in training camp, you can call somebody up and bring a punter and have him there the next day. And he's, it's not like he's got to learn a new system. Punter's a punter. Are they good at directional kicking? How strong is their leg? Can they flip the field? All that kind of stuff. It's not a position you have to worry about, so you can just bring somebody in. But there's also the talk of, it makes you better to have somebody there pushing you every day, right next to you, instead of in Cleveland or Detroit and Aaron Sipas himself was in Detroit in training camp against Jack Box, who was the best punter in the NFL that year. And he actually, when he talked to us, he said how much that helped him to be with Box every single day. So if I were the Eagles, I'd have another punter in here. But that's, going back to Dave Bipp, that's what they've always believed is if something happens, we'll just bring a guy in.
And again, this is just 10 minutes as they had last time. You expect the same, working on the special teams, kickoffs and punts. I know that Britton Covey was a guy that they brought in as an undrafted free agent, and he put up some pretty good numbers collegiately at returns. But as I look at the Eagle roster and trying to find a path that Britton Covey makes it, I'm not sure that I do, that the Eagles have enough guys at the wide receiver position. They're going to cut a guy like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who is going to be a difficult cut because he was as high a draft pick as he was. If not Covey, then who? Are we looking at the same exact lineup as last year? Is there some other direction they could be going, John, on returns? Or do you think because it wasn't good enough last year and needs improvement, that they are going to find a roster spot for a guy like Covey?
He's a long shot. I mean, I could see him making the practice squad easily.
Right. I'm not asking about the practice squad here.
No.
I'm talking about first week of the season. Somebody's got to drop back for a kick and a punt for the Eagles. Who the hell's it going to be?
I'd bet on Jalen Reagor. I mean, we kept asking Michael Clay about that, and we asked him about Devin Allen, the Olympic hurdle, and he's like, Devin Allen hasn't played since 2016, and he's still not in here because he's still dealing with track season. So he's another guy. Their goal with him is to get him on the practice squad and see if he has anything, and maybe 2 years down the road, maybe he turns into something. Britton Covey, we asked him about Britton. It's like, and he kept going back to Jalen Reagor. Now, special teams coaches in general, they're at the mercy of really, what the final 53 is going to be.
Right.
Yeah. And if the Eagles, take a turn or trade him, cut him, which I don't think they're going to cut him, then he might have to go in a different direction. Then you start going into the Boston Scotts, Kenny Gainwells, Quez Watkins as a kickoff returner, punt returner. Yeah, that would be a big concern because they don't have a next obvious punt returner other than Kobe, who did it in college. And they would have to find something. Obviously, punt returner is probably more important than kick returner. But I will say, as much as people killed Jalen Reagor, rightfully so, and especially Muff 2 in the Tampa Bay game, so that's your last result. He was their best returner by far. I mean, Watkins was awful at it. Awful. People forget he started the season as a kickoff returner, and Jalen was the punt returner. And Quez was just really bad at it. And then they gave him both to Jalen Reagor. And he made some mistakes, and he popped a couple. He popped a kick return, I think 40 yards, 33-yard punt return. Showed a little bit of juice, but man, ball security is number one. You gotta secure the ball before you do anything else. And right now, the Eagles, it's one of those underreported needs, but they don't have good returners.
They don't.
They don't have good special teams.
That's why I asked you the question.
Yeah.
And you're saying they'll dedicate 10 whole minutes to it today. Way to go, guys. Commitment. That'll get it done. One name you did throw out there was Kenneth Gainwell, who didn't really have that many opportunities. Kickoff returns are so few and far between in the NFL anymore with kickers' ability to just boot it out of the back end of the end zone, get it started at the 25. Do you think they look at Gainwell as a guy who might be too important to their overall offense coming into the season to risk putting out there on special teams and potentially getting him hurt?
Yeah, certainly early too. Because early, I think they're going into it with the same thing they did last year. If you remember, they started, it was really two men. It was Miles and Kenny Gainwell. And that it's going to be the same way in the backfield to start. Miles is obviously the lead back, and Kenny Gainwell is going to be the third down back and hurry up back. And really, they hope he's going to take a huge step forward, more as a pass receiver than anything. So yeah, I think he would be behind. They're going to try Rager. They're going to try Boston Scott. And then before you get down to Kenny Gainwell. And by that point, if Zach Pascal becomes more of a part of the offense, you might even try Quez before Kenny Gainwell. Because, you know, and I've kind of, I think Kenny Gainwell's more entrenched with the offense than Quez Watkins. I really believe that. Because I think in Quez, I think somebody's pushing Quez. I don't think anybody is pushing Kenny Gainwell.
And one of our stream commenters was thinking right along the same lines that I was. I was going to ask you about Jason Hunley, who I think shows the talents and the skills that he might be a good enough returner. But again, Jason Hunley's only going to get activated on a week where either Miles or Kenny Gainwell and or Boston Scott is hurt. Otherwise, I don't think he's going to get activated.
And he's not a punt returner. I should have mentioned him on kickoff returns because he might be their best kickoff returner. But again, how do you get him on the field? I don't know how you get him on the field. Now injuries, then you don't want him on. You know, it's not one of those things where you're hoping for it, because kickoff return is not that valuable. And I would just, to be honest, I would just stick Boston back there. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be explosive, but he's not going to make mistakes. And it's not that big of a deal in the modern NFL. But yeah, their best pure kickoff returner, at least until Devin Allen shows up or Britton Covey does something, is Jason Huntley. But how do you get him on the field?
He's got to be one of the 53, and I'm not sure there's a path for that. I know where our path takes us next. McMullen, McDonald, coming up next. The cynic himself, Bob Groats from the Delco Times, joins us here on Birds 365.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities with Local 98, visit us, IBEW98.org.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit. The glass is for cocktails, right?
It's for this? this, and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Yeah, okay, but is the rib...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. 1 free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
John McMullen, Jody McDonald, your Mac and Mac guys, joined by a third interested party. I love when we have Bob Gertz on. He always changes the tempo when he joins us, whether he's drinking coffee or not. It doesn't much matter. He brings
coffee. Come on, that's Stateside vodka, isn't it, Bob?
You got a little Stateside in there, Bob?
No, I'm not a drinker, guys. I'm too old for that. Yeah,
I know.
My drinking days are over.
All of us. Maybe not. Maybe not for me on occasion.
Yeah, same here.
So how you guys doing today?
Doing well, Bob. How are you? You've been doing it all. You got Phillies duty. You got Eagles duty. You're even doing some state championship duty. You're
I'm
the
worn
hardest
out.
working man in show business. Still.
I'm worn out. Yeah.
What do you got on Joe Girardi for us? Why do you move on from the great Joe Girardi? Only
Well,
to
they
his
were
right-hand
worried
man?
they were worried that they were going to start winning games. They looked at that schedule. They looked at the schedule. And they said, "Damn," And he won his last game. Joe Girardi won his first game and his last game.
There we go. That typically isn't the way you go out.
That new manager it seems like a real nice guy, though. I mean, every time I was down there, the guy very approachable, always said hello. Not like
Not like Chip Kelly. Not like Chip.
Well,
no eye
Chip wasn't-
contact.
He wasn't bad to me. You had to say something to him first, though.
Yeah, definitely had to make the.
Wait. Chip Kelly was nice to you?
Yeah,
you were the
had
one. I never knew
Brody,
you were the one.
You had to be approachable. You had to say something to him, and then he would look. I mean, I don't know what the guy was really, in terms of interpersonal stuff, he was shy. So, but I know there were a lot of people that just they wanted him to genuflect in front of them, and he wouldn't, and that got them angry. So.
That we can guess one of those people, but I'm not.
He's still, what Philly football coach has won double-digit games in back-to-back seasons, got into the playoffs one year and then got fired, before the end of what was supposed to be a transition season. That was crazy, man.
Yeah. I talk about Chip because Chip gets probably a little bit more criticism than he deserves for being a coach. And some of the stuff he brought into the NFL is still a part of the NFL. He really was an innovator. But, man, he was a one-trick pony, Bob.
Yeah,
it was a
yeah.
one-trick pony.
They figured out how to slow him down, and then it was kind of, the defense got tired because it was on the field the whole game, and because of short offensive possessions, you get a stop and faking injuries and all that, and it was over. Yeah.
36-year-old Jason Peters, you can't ride him like a 21-year-old kid.
Yeah, and you won't have Nick Sirianni. His team won't be faking injuries because they're never out there to hit until the season begins. Yeah,
no soft tissue. You can't get a soft tissue injury by not being on the grass, Bob. Maybe you can. Are you going to be there today?
Yeah, I'll be out there. Yeah, I'm looking. My keys are the warm-ups because that's basically what it is. It's a warm-up and a few throws and that. And I kind of was smiling when I read some of the stories from the last mini camp. But what can you do? I mean, people got to write something. Like I don't know how people have this incredible insight where they can project everything and you have all these rating things. My favorite is Pro Football Focus. Like
Cliff Kingsbury, the 4th best coach in the NFL, baby.
How can that be? How can that be? And who's the guy? Sean McDermott isn't even on the list.
Sean isn't. Sean McVay isn't, and Sean McDermott.
No, McDermott's not on the list. Not in the top 10.
Oh, not in the top 10.
Top 10.
Yeah,
I think,
how could he not be in the top 10?
Yeah,
and I think McVay was like 7th or 8th, which some people believe.
Wasn't he like 11th? He wasn't in the top 10.
He's pretty good.
Yeah,
McVay is pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was out of the top 10, but I could be wrong.
And we'll see too. The Rams are. You look at them winning the Super Bowl the way they did it. How can that not be a model for how to put a team together? They've drafted very well. They traded away a lot of picks, but
they did a good job with their day 3 picks. But then all of a sudden, you got to start paying people. You got to pay Aaron Donald. Then it becomes
they're coming apart at the seams. Not this year, maybe not the next year. At some point, the Rams are going to have to go major takedown and build back up because they're going to get crushed by the salary cap.
Yeah, but would you take two Super Bowl titles and then say, all right, we got to rebuild? I'd do that. I'd gladly make that.
It's an
trade.
interesting deal. Yeah. And then, and if they ever sell that franchise, what is the Walmart guys buying the Denver Broncos?
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah. Can you imagine?
$5 billion.
Imagine what those uniforms are going to look like, Jeez. They're going to have the Walmart logo on them somewhere, right?
You would
As
think.
a favor to the rest of the family.
You would think. Now, Josh Harris was number 2, supposedly, in that grouping to buy the Denver Broncos.
Would not surprise me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
By the way, John looked up McVay number 11 on the Pro Football Focus list.
Sean McVay number 11.
McDermott number 16.
Yeah. I don't get that.
And where's Mike Tomlin, Jody? He was
Tomlin was
out
13.
of the top 10.
He was just in front of Nick Sirianni. He was 13.
Ridiculous.
Sirianni was 14.
Yeah, and McCarthy was in the top 10. Now, I don't think he's coached for 7 or 8 years now. Yeah, so I don't know who's calling the numbers.
Now, all the Pro Football Focus guys got upset yesterday because they were getting hammered by that, and they were like, "It's the methodology. You don't understand the context." Yeah, but guess what? We understand the context. The point is, if you come up with a formula and you say this is a good idea. Let's work this out. Let's do the advanced analytics. And then it comes back and it says Cliff Kingsbury's the 4th best coach in the NFL. You throw it out and say, all right, this isn't good. This isn't a good evaluation. Yeah. That's how I would handle that. That's what I think the analytics people, they start butting heads with the scouting people and vice versa, the eye test, whatever you want to call it. So we'll go there, Bob, with the front office changes. No personnel guys, all football ops guys at the top of this organization. One of them, Alec Hallaby, the analytics guy. You think that's changed? You think the Eagles are shifting more towards the Pro Football Focus, and we're going to get Cliff Kingsbury as the coach here?
I think we could see it. I think we saw it last year. A lot of these, not just 4th down calls, but the way that they played. I can't, in terms of like Nick Sirianni and a feel, it was kind of like a lot of decisions to me. I'd have to go back and be specific, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But a lot of his decisions seemed to be made for him. And they knew what they were going to do. They knew what and certain down and distance and that, and that wasn't necessarily a bad thing either.
All right, since you went there, I'll follow up. Are you suggesting, because we found out last week
that Howie is calling plays? Not specifically,
no. Let me finish.
But you're on the right track.
His
director of football ops, or what's the vice president of analytics, or
Alec Hallaby?
Yeah.
Assistant GM, vice president of football ops and strategy.
Okay,
is Alec Hallaby.
That's kind of where I was going, but let me finish the question. We found out last week, or at least I didn't know, maybe you two guys knew, that at some juncture last season, Shane Steichen became the play caller. That it had been the head coach relaying the call to the offensive coordinator, would call it into the quarterback. At some point, Nick Sirianni said, "No, you go ahead and take it, Shane," and he did. I don't think he told you guys exactly when that happened, what game or what play derived the change in the way that they were doing it. Are you suggesting that it was after a game, and how he dictated that change?
Well, I think with the Eagles, it's an organizational thing, and it's the organization making a decision. And I think they did it when Doug Peterson was there too. I don't think he was happy about it either. So, so what the answer to the original question is, I think they'll be maybe even a little more analytics driven than they were. So, and I don't think that's different with other teams with the young coaches and that. And hey, last year, 9 wins, they got into the playoffs, and I still have to chuckle about the way they put everybody on the COVID list, before that last game, and they rested everybody. Remember that? So they wouldn't have a COVID, in the playoffs. Boy, that helped, didn't it? Against Tampa Bay. I mean, they came out in a rhythm, right? And you still, and even you look at some of the things now, and no mini camp. Nick Sirianni won't rip the front office for this, but how can a head coach be a head coach without a mini camp? That gives the players, the veterans, and the young people a snapshot of what to be on lookout for in training camp, and maybe they train a little bit harder, maybe they do some things, but the organizational edict is clear right now. We don't want anybody to get hurt, and hey, we got the 9 wins. We're going to practice hard, but we're not going to tackle the ground or anything. We're going to play him, the quarterback, 9 snaps in the preseason. We want to get him to opening day, and we're going to keep everything under wraps. We're not going to tell anybody what we're doing, and then we'll get off to a good start. And as long as we stay healthy, we'll win 9 games. It worked last year.
Do you think there's going to be a pushback from Nick Sirianni at some point if he has success?
I think there should be, but he's just the fist bumping with Howie at some of the press conferences and things. I don't know, man. I mean, most recently at the draft, he's kind of hitched his wagon right now. So, but and it's not just the mini camp. There's other things too. They're having 2 scrimmages. Who wants to have 2 inter squad scrimmages? That's a bit much, isn't it?
What are you talking about? They were undefeated last year.
Yeah, they had 2 last year. But the fact that they don't play people in preseason games, but they have these joint practices. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. Doug used to explain that. Joint practices. It's like if you want to work on goal line offense, you got to hope in a preseason game that it comes up, that you're inside the 5 or whatever. Whereas you can script it in practice and say, hey, go to the other coach. We suck at red zone stuff. Let's keep doing that. So I understood that thought process. I don't know, but how do you practice football without playing football?
Yeah.
I'm kind of old school from that perspective.
Yeah, they think they have the formula. So can they do it back-to-back years? This is going to be interesting. You look at the roster now, and on paper, you have to think that they upgraded. And and I also think that I also think a guy like Devontae Smith. I mean, you start looking at some of the highlights that guy had in his rookie season. I mean, he was amazing, And I wonder. I start wondering what he would be like with a guy who was a little more accurate as a passer. Lethal. Like Stafford and Kupp over in L.A. So, maybe Jalen Hurts will take that step. It's impossible to tell right now until the bullets start flying and that whether he's improved or that. All you can do is at this time of year really is talk.
Bob, it's been a minute since we had you on, and I'm not sure, but I don't think you've been on since the Eagles signed James Bradbury. Maybe you have. How big an addition is that? How much is that going to free up Jonathan Gannon to potentially be a little bit more aggressive as the defensive play caller this year?
Yeah, on paper again, without seeing him out there on the field, they had nobody there. He's a huge upgrade over what they had. So, and even who was it? Steven Nelson. He was adequate, but he's Bradbury's better than him. So, but I still don't know what Jonathan Gannon really wants to do. I think this is a great year to figure that out, to see what he's going to do and how he puts all these pieces together, because I'm not exactly sure what he wants to do. But yeah, that defense will be better. That should help them do some things that they weren't able to do last year. And that should, a guy like that, that'll help the pass rush. Now, I will say this: when I looked at some of those Devontae Smith highlights, he was lighting Bradbury up. So that was interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
different scheme.
7-on-7.
But
sir.
whoa.
Yeah, typical.
Yeah,
but I caution people. Joe Osman used to light up Jordan Mailata on a daily basis in one-on-one drills. So those things are designed for the offense to win, and they should win. Sam Bradford would have a gold jacket.
This was a game, John. This was a game. This wasn't.
Oh, you're talking about
Joe
a game.
Osman
You're talking
the
about
press
a game.
corps jumping up and down.
I thought you were talking about practice. No, Bradbury's his own corner. I mean, Devontae's a great route runner. But and not a lot of guys are going to be able to stick with Devontae Smith. I can't criticize James Bradbury for that. I thought you were talking about in practice last week, but
no.
The talent level being upgraded to the point where, look, Bradbury's better than Nelson. And I thought Steve Nelson did a fine job, but Bradbury's a better player. Jordan Davis is obviously an upgrade at defensive tackle. Now you have some linebackers. How great Kaiser White and Kobe Dean. All of a sudden, A.J. Brown, everything falls into place. Devontae Smith can be a number 2, on and on and on.
He should be the number 1. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I
know I Brown. Agree. I told Jody that. I think
Brown is talented, but
I think Devontae will ultimately be better than A.J. Brown. I believe that.
He's got flat out has a better skill set. So
that'll
be interesting. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
And to me, it's about.
And you didn't mention Goddard either. You didn't. Goddard's a weapon. So it's all about what are we going to get from?
It's all
Hurts?
about the quarterback.
Yeah, what are we going to get from Hurts?
Now you're my mechanics guy. What did you see from the footwork? What's Tom House doing with the footwork? What you were telling me you saw some differences in Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I saw him on the first 3 reps.
Yeah,
the first 3 reps, and then the next 2, he was a little bit different. And by the 5th or 6th rep, he was back to where he was before. So I can't tell. Yeah, I mean, from that setting, I can't. He's, some throws were behind, some were right there. Yeah, I just, I do my best just to watch, but it doesn't look like his release. Sometimes when he gets in a rhythm, it seems like the release is quicker, but I can't tell. I'd have to go back and look at his video from last year in the games, but still, I mean, it's the accuracy and when he gets out of the pocket too, boy, that his receivers made some great catches. He made a couple of great throws, but his receivers made some great catches. So maybe that'll be something like that they'll have to do again this year. Although, you got to like that offensive line.
All right, since it is all about the quarterback and they do have to play 6 in-division games, I don't think anybody would argue that Dak Prescott comes in as the top quarterback in the NFC. How is Jalen Hurts going to match up against Daniel Jones and Carson Wentz this year, Mr. Groats?
Yeah, that'll be that's interesting to think about. And Jody, Jalen to me is a lot like Dak Prescott. Those 2 guys, I mean, and that I'm not the first one to say that, obviously, but those guys remind me an awful lot of each other. So, and How many games has Dak won in the playoffs?
No, but he's won a lot of regular season
games.
games.
Yeah, he has, and he's put up some big numbers too. Yeah, right. He's made Pro Bowl teams, and we all. I think some of us forget that Jalen Hurts was voted a Pro Bowl alternate. You know, what was he? First alternate, John? First or second?
Third. I think it was third.
Oh, was it third?
Alternate,
Okay,
yeah.
But still, I mean,
it's still good.
The guy. You know, there's a lot of players that think he's that good. So I don't know, but I right now it's kind of like a young Dak Prescott to me. And has Dak really turned that corner? I mean, he seems still like a real streaky guy, you know. But is he going to win you the big game? I don't know. But both of those guys I think they're cut from the same mold. They're the same type of player. Immense skill sets, and they win games. Are they the answer? TBD.
Yeah, it was looking very early in the offseason. It looked like everything was breaking the Eagles' way. Well, not just the Eagles' way, but everybody in the NFC. And all of a sudden, Tom Brady comes back to Tampa. Aaron Rodgers works things out with Green Bay, and obviously you still have the Rams. Is it pie in the sky to think the Eagles can reach that level of those top three teams in the NFC?
I can't. Nothing would surprise me, but I think you're talking about a team that they still, there's just too many questions still. I'd have to see what they do in the first month of the season. And I was just bouncing around in my head was the rest of Jody's questions. Daniel Jones. Yeah. He's
the Giants are rebuilding. I mean,
he's on probation, right? He's
right. But let me have in there.
Carson
How do
Wentz.
you rebuild with Daniel Jones as your quarterback?
Yeah.
How do you do that? If you are in rebuilding mode, admittedly rebuilding, let guys like James Barry just walk out the door because the general manager paid him too much previously. Okay, you can do that. Giant fans might not be happy about it, but by the way, get ready to look at Daniel Jones for 16 games.
Yeah.
How do you do that if you're the Giants?
You're hoping that Brian
process.
Dable. Yeah. You're hoping Brian Dable will do the same thing he did with Josh over in Buffalo. But what are the odds of that happening?
I think Saquon Barkley is going to be a crash test dummy this year. I think they're going to give him the ball 300 times if he's healthy and just run him into the ground because they're not going to re-sign him. That's what I think the Giants, and then they're going to reboot the whole thing in 2023. Now, the Commanders, I don't know what the heck they're doing. They seem like they're trying to win, but Carson is a curious decision, and especially what they gave up for Carson Wentz. Why do people keep thinking Carson Wentz can be the 2017 Carson Wentz, Bob?
Yeah, I don't know. He did win some games last year, but he didn't have the worst season in the world.
No.
I'll tell you this. Yeah, his owner, well, I don't know who the owner is there right now. I don't know who's technically running the team, but Rivera likes him. The owner, Irsay in Indianapolis, he hated Carson Wentz.
Oh, he hated him.
You know that vaccination status to begin with, and then there was a slight injury, I think, in the mini camp, and then he just did not like Carson Wentz at all, and he made it known publicly.
Well, honestly, that would piss me off too.
Yeah,
as the owner.
From the beginning, yeah. But I mean, how do you
people
play?
get upset about the vaccine stuff. Jody and I know because anytime we talked about it, has nothing to do with the vaccine stuff and what you believe. But these people went out on a limb to bring you in to be the leader of the team. Yeah. And you might not like it, but from the perspective of I'm paying you this money and you can't work with me and you can't do what you need to do. as an owner of a football team, I'd be upset by that.
Yeah,
I really would.
He Wentz, Carson Wentz was never a leader. Even that great year that he had, he wasn't the leader. They had a million veteran leaders in that locker room, and I keep hearing about Jalen Hurts, how he's a leader, and I'll take the players' words for it. But is Dak Prescott a leader?
I don't know. I'm not down there. Jalen is, because everybody says it.
They talk up Dak and his leadership skills a lot in D.C.
Yeah,
excuse me, in Dallas.
Yeah, they talk it up. Yeah, but I mean, what is a leader? I mean, isn't that the guy that when you're in that playoff game, you know, he comes up big or he does something? I'm not talking about perfect passer rating or something, but he does something to put you over the edge. You know, you know when he's on that field and in a tight game that he's gonna. To me, that's a leader. Whether it's the quarterback or somebody else, you know, it's not just a playmaker, but it's a guy who just gives it all up. I don't know. I mean, that's why I made that comparison, Jalen and Dak. Very interesting to me, you know.
Quarterback. Is Aaron Rodgers a leader?
Yeah,
I don't. Is he?
Yeah,
I don't know.
He is on that team. I mean,
he's not inclusive. He leads because he's a great player.
He definitely is the leader there. I mean,
Well, he's definitely the leader because
got
he's
some
one
other
of the best that ever played. But I'm saying, is he a leader? He's a leader because of his talent, but I don't think he's a leader like Jalen Hurts is a leader in the fact that Jalen tries to go out of his way and be inclusive and get everybody involved. And ultimately, I'd rather have the great player. You know, I'd rather have the great player. Maybe we overrate leadership is what I'm trying to say at the quarterback. Can you play?
Leadership is winning games to me.
Or can't you play? Yeah.
Leadership is winning games, you know? So
let me ask you this question. Dak Prescott has one regular season game.
I consider you the leader on this show, Jody, and John is the follower.
I just follow Jody. We all know that.
That's okay.
All right. I'm sorry
if Jalen Hurts has Dak Prescott's average year this year, which would include making the playoffs, maybe getting beat in the playoffs, just not beaten like a drum the way they were by Tampa last year. Yeah, exact same as the Cowboys. Have a chance to actually win the game, and you can't get up to the line of scrimmage in time to spike the ball. That's the kind of year Jalen Hurts has. If you're the Eagles, what do you do going forward into 2023? Are you talking about a contract extension, or you're saying, let's do this a year at a time? Is that enough for you to say, no, we got 2 first-round draft picks. We got to be thinking about going in another direction. If Jalen Hurts is Dak Prescott 2.0, what did the Eagles do?
Yeah. I think you still got to sign him because you can always trade him, right? You can always trade the guy.
If he's Dak Prescott, but statistic-wise, I got to pay him.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jody, I needed that example a few minutes ago, too, about getting him up to the line in time.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that was Dak's fault, by the way. He's got to understand in that
Yeah.
situation, you got to hand the football to the official.
Yeah.
And he didn't do that.
By the way, I don't see Jalen doing something like that. I think he would know that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a football IQ play. He's got to understand the situation. But then too many people are like, oh, if he does the right thing. Where were they? The 20-something yard line, 22-yard line? They still got to throw the ball in the end zone to win the game. It's not, they're probably not going to win the game.
You know who does that? Aaron
Rodgers.
Rodgers.
The puncher's chance.
Right?
Aaron
Rodgers.
Sure. Walking off the field.
Yeah. No question.
So you still sign the guy. You're going to have to sign him. He can win games. There's just no doubt about Jalen Hurts' ability to win games. Is he the guy that's going to take you deep into the playoffs? TBD.
Yeah. Matthew Stafford, by the way, wasn't a leader until last year, and all of a sudden he's a leader because he's got better.
I don't
players.
know. He was, but he was a leader on a franchise where players went to die. Jeez. Yeah, that's hard. Those
that's what I mean. Matthew Stafford was the same player he was in Detroit. I mean, people act like the quarterback is the be-all, end-all. you do need other talent around you. And Matthew Stafford probably proves that better than anybody else.
Yeah.
Because for years, he was with that direct, and everybody's like, he's overrated. Jody knows I've always been a Stafford guy. I finally got validated last year. Probably should have saved that poor woman on the podium at the Super Bowl parade. She fell off. You remember that? That was terrible. And Matthew Stafford just walked away. His poor wife had to handle that. So maybe he's not the best leader in the world, but he's a heck of a quarterback.
That wouldn't have happened with Jalen Hurts. He would have. If he didn't catch her, he would have helped her up.
I think he had a few Tom Brady's. You know, Tom was 3 sheets to the wind at the Super Bowl parade the year before. I think same thing with Matthew.
Yeah, but this is going to be a key OTA today, guys. This
Matthew Stafford, now excellent pitchman, winking in the telephone commercials. He's got some gravitas there.
Big star.
All right, OTA, who you standing next to, Groats? Know that they bunch you guys tight. They try and keep you all close together. Actually, they probably let you spread out as much as you want.
Yeah,
who's the guy you don't want to be standing next to during your hour out in the sun today?
Oh boy, you know what? There's not just one guy. I could list about 11 guys. Yeah.
All right. Well, if the easier question is who do you want to be standing next to,
John
McMullen, who you don't want to be standing next to?
I want to be
who
next
do you
to
want to
John
stand
McMullen
next
and
to?
Ed Kratz. Yeah.
The list of people you want to be next to, Bob is right, is much smaller than the list that you don't want to be next to.
All right, then we'll let you get to it, Bob Groats. Thanks for hopping on with us today.
I hope I didn't kill your ratings today. You know,
no. See, you're so much smarter than me. I say stupid things like Lawrence Taylor is better than Reggie White, and I tick off all the Eagle fans. You just go ahead and bury the Detroit Lion fans, where careers go to die. You don't have to worry about that. We got 2 Detroit Lion fans.
I'm telling you, Bob. Jody's eyes light up whenever I say Bob Groats is coming on the show. He loves Bob
Groats is coming on the show.
He loves.
All right, guys.
We have equally cynical point of views. I just keep them to myself. You share.
I got to get hydrated. Get
hydrated. Get ready for an afternoon.
All right, thanks, Bob. I'll see you later, maybe.
Bob
if I
Groats
make it.
Delco Times here with us on Birds 365. Yeah, the reason I like Groats, he says stuff I'd like to say. Today I was a little bit more just off the top of the head stuff, like soft tissue issues for Deshaun Watson. But a lot of times I have to self-edit myself. I don't think Bob Groats has ever self-edited himself in his life. He just tells you what he thinks.
Yeah. More people should be that way. Yeah.
That's why
honesty is an underrated trait.
I love Groats. He's fun whenever he does come on. All right. McMullen and McDonald got to come back, put a bow on the show last couple of minutes before Johnny Mac heads off to Eagles OTAs.
Go for the polls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your world. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake a mom. Mama go up, up.
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh. Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, J-Mac and J-Mac. Jordan McDonald, John McMullen, last couple of minutes before John McMullen heads on over to the not the Wells Fargo, the NovaCare complex to see the final off-season workout of the Eagles. If you believe training camp is the start of the in-season stuff, yeah, I know it's pre, but it's in season stuff. Do want to ask you this, J-Mac. I'm sure you didn't see it last time. I know you didn't. We don't know who will or won't be in attendance today. We know they're not doing 11 on 11s. But when camp arrives, if that's the first time it's going to happen, how often do they do drills matching up one-on-one individuals, offensive linemen and defensive linemen?
In training camp, quite a bit. Every couple days they'll do one-on-ones, and that's why I joked about Joe Osman and Jordan Mailata. It was on those one-on-ones that, and Stoutland says, I mean, if you're 50-50, you're doing an awesome job as an offensive lineman in one-on-ones.
Then if that's the case, when we get it, if we ever get it, and I know one plays inside and the other plays outside, but there's so much mobility and flexibility on a defensive line that you might actually see this at some point. And I'm talking about Jordan Davis going up against the tackle. Will you ever during preseason see Jordan Mailata against Jordan Davis? The two biggest guys on the football team going mano a mano.
I doubt it. Those things tend to go really quickly. Like if somebody tweaks his ankle and is off shaking something, they might throw somebody in there and you might get lucky.
Have the camera rolling. That's one that you can keep and
but typically
memes and everything else.
I mean, typically the tackles are going to be with the ends and the interior guys are going to get a whole lot of Jordan Davis. So we are going to get to see Kelsey against Jordan Davis, which will be interesting because
he's given up some size there.
Yeah, the one issue Jason Kelsey's had in his career with guys who saw it in the playoffs with somebody like Vita Vea, really difficult when he gets up against those really big guys. And Jordan's really, really big. But I don't think we're going to see Jordan versus Jordan, unfortunately.
I'm almost mandating it. Are you listening to me, Eagles? You must do this at some point. Not today. No, it's not going to happen today. They're all going to hold hands.
And I guarantee you, if we see it, Jordan's going to win.
Yeah, at this stage, you're probably right.
They're both Jordan. That's why I said it. They're both Jordans.
Very good. Can't lose if you're back in Jordan. All right, partner. Safe trip over to the Wells Fargo. Why do I keep wanting to say Wells Fargo? I'm trying to.
It's right down the street. Yeah, it's right down the street.
Sorry about that. The NovaCare complex. You and I do this again tomorrow. You in?
Let's do it. I might have some recovery after an hour on the field, Jody. You never know. But I will do my best.
And the 12 hours of writing he will do thereafter on JAKIBSports.com. But he will be back here with me on Birds 365 in 2 and 2.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate, inside the locker room, and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.